Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trash Comps.
Today we're going to be going over our Madness 16 All Mages run. Now I know what you might be thinking. That's not possible. They're too squishy.
I
They have no
mean,
heals. They got no armor, kind of. Yeah.
yeah, so like at this point, we've done all clerics, or all healers, as they're called. I
All
feel like they were
healers.
called clerics at one point.
Yeah.
Um, we did all warriors, which
Easy.
which is pretty easy. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
We did all scouts, which was very challenging, a lot more challenging than I ever expected because of all the difficulties with scouts. So of course, our last option was all mages. Like, we're doing all of them. Though there's a reason we saved this one for last, because we weren't sure if this was even possible.
Golly gee, was this a head scratcher?
Yeah, this was a late night, like, we were joking about it. Like, we were like, hey, so, like, you know how we succeeded on all scouts? Like, what if? So, for the mages, we talked about it late one night. We were like, hey, like, we've done these three. Should we even try the mages? We don't think it's possible, but
But
what if? And so we talked about, like, what do mages need? They have no healing. Not really, or they have very little to basically none. So when they get hit, they're hit for real. They don't have block, not really. Like, they have some, but like it's too slow. It's only for the self and not for the team. So AoE attacks will still ruin your team, and you can't heal it off. So they need to alpha strike, really. The problem with mages is that this is as fast as they can get. Zek is the fastest mage. This is full speed perks enabled, which you do have to vote 7 points to.
oh, beautiful.
And yeah, it's not ideal, is what I would say. You are going to take hits because you're slow. And so this run is a little bit more difficult than most in that you have to farm for some speed items in the very first shop. I don't think it's really viable without that. I also don't think it's even consistent if you do have speed items in the shop. Outside of maybe if you farm specifically slippers. Slippers might get you a little bit better because those get Zek to 20 speed, although there are some enemies who are at 22 speed or 21 speed in the starting act. So even that's not a guarantee. So what the goal is I'll explain that a little bit further, but first we'll go over perks. Right here, Zek, he's going to be up front. He's going to take all the damage. He's also the fastest, so we want him to speed up the whole team and slow down the enemy team. For all those reasons, that's why he has tanky perks. Also has reinforced to start with because he's going to take a lot of physical damage. Most enemies do physical damage, especially to the front target, so this just is worth it.
In general, I think we found out that Reinforce is, like, of those three, the best one.
Yeah, and then a little bit of perks were kind of left over, more powerful, so that you can apply more powerful to any other party member. This wet might be a little bit of a tell. We are going for the Wilbur carry, Wilbur and Evelyn carry technically, with lightning damage and cold damage. The reason that we're doing this is because wet is one of the few ways that you can have more damage done as a stack for mage cards. We don't have access to sharp. We don't really have access to bless, or just not enough of it to matter. It's really just wet or fortify, which they do have some access to, but that is a single target card. And I believe it's for yourself, which if you are having a carry who is, no, I mean, or unless you get purple Scroll of Defense here. Good luck with that. Yeah, and it's not in a large enough quantity to really make a big difference.
So for Shaw, what makes the mage is really good is that there's kind of two ways to make things deal more damage, or I guess kind of three, is that you have the reduction of resistances, like vulnerable and kind of, the elemental stacks, or just pretty much all the
That's what
regular
mages excel
stacks.
at.
Exactly. However, what really is pretty necessary for Madness 16, especially if you're trying to go for like killed, is you need both the percentage reduction and additive. Additive being stuff like Mark, or in particular, Rain. Rain is super, super good, and obviously mages are the best at it because they can take the best advantage of it.
Speaking of Mark, the mages do actually have a few Mark cards in terms of Curse of Fragility.
Oh.
So, I mean, I say a few. It's not a lot, but it is very easy to come by, typically. So, it's also a curse. Zek can also be applying Mark sometimes, which is very helpful. But Wet's going to be your more reliable source here, especially with the planned path that you usually want to take with Wilbur to get Charged Trident. This run, though. This run is challenging. So here's Zek's perks. I'll go over in order of my character position list. We have Wilbur. Well, I'll go here. Cornelius. So Cornelius doesn't play nicely with Wet. He lights everything on fire in his starting deck. He is Heat Wave to start with. And all of his level ups, I want to say all of his level ups. Sorry, most of his level ups outside of Phoenix and his Avatar of Fire apply fire or burn. And what burn does is gets rid of wet charges. So you don't want to do that when you're trying to stack as many wet charges as possible on an enemy. Therefore, Cornelius' deck has to be completely remade. His level ups are practically useless, though they give him some extra health, which, you know, that's always good. Yeah. So, yeah, and his starting weapon also applies burn. if that wasn't enough, you want to replace his weapon whenever you can with whatever you find. It doesn't matter what it is, it's going to be better than the High Chancellor's staff applying burn. Especially because he's coming after Zek. And that's just by necessity because Cornelius is slow. This is as fast as he can go. Evelyn. Evelyn's great. Evelyn is an amazing character in general, has a lot of possibilities, could probably carry with cold, fire, or lightning. It's just her ability to do all elements is great. That said, elemental proliferation is bad. Don't get that.
It's pretty, so for anyone who doesn't know, it's like, well, this one, and also I feel like just in general, is just one of the greatest things about Enchant Weapon, the fact that it transforms and it can be used either on herself or literally anyone. Also, what's really cool is that whichever one you put in stays in your deck, so you can redraw it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It stays in your deck, it's great. I mean, this one is, like, I won't say it's bad. This is fine. This is just, it applies burn, which you don't want to do.
Well, that's also true. Yeah.
That's really the only problem I have with it. Enchant Weapons is also just good, because transforming damage can be very strong. Yeah. We normally go Enchant Weapons, I think, whenever we play Evelyn, but, I mean, I wouldn't mind trying a full elemental build at some point. That could be funny.
Yeah, we've never done that.
Yeah. Future video, I guess. Yeah, Evelyn is great. I'll go into perks. This should be the perks section. So here's Evelyn's perks. I had to split quite a bit because we need shards. We need to make a deck really good. We need speed. That's just mandatory. And we need damage. Evelyn is going to be a hybrid carry with Wilbur. She will be applying wet. We have wet on enemies, also increases cold damage taken by 1 per charge, so given that both the lightning and the cold damage can be increased by wet, it seems like just a really good way to go. And splitting your damage can be very nice when certain enemies resist one very hard but not the other. Which I think comes up a bit in the run, especially on one of the hardest fights, so yeah. Lastly, we have Wilbur. Wilbur is amazing, and he would be a really wonderful support for the all-mage team, except for the fact that we need him to be lightning. And Cornelius is basically going to do what Wilbur would be doing, except worse. So, you know, that's just something that you have to deal with. Very importantly, Wilbur gets to save 3 speed perks here because we want him in back so that he takes less of the damage most of the time and goes after everybody since we want wet charges to be at their maximum by the time he starts doing lightning. So this is why he has 1 less speed, because 14 is the max that Evelyn and Cornelius can get to. He's going to be solely devoted to damage. Made him tanky-ish, or I guess as tanky as we want. I like getting some health and some resistances on the mages. It might be better to go all resistances. I don't know. But I do, because mages start at such low health, I found that this helped them survive a little bit longer. Mainly because like resistances matter more the more you have of them, and mages have so little that health actually ends up being a little bit better. Yeah, and here, look, you can see this is just a random perk I didn't know what to do with. So,
But I mean, hey, if he needs to chill, then there we go.
yeah, we do have the very important lightning perk. So he will be applying 1 more spark on every hit, or on every application he does. And then this is an incredibly good passive. Spark on enemies applies 30% of its charges to the side enemies. Cornelius got this one because Cornelius could. Yeah, this is a game changer in terms of how fast enemies die in groups. It's also incredibly hard to calculate when the lightning will be enough to kill all enemies. So it's kind of just a guesstimate. There's probably a lot of inefficiency on my part because I don't want to calculate it all the time. So yeah, standard, we have Evelyn and Wilbur taking the very powerful perk where they get 10% per charge rather than 5, and it loses all charges because we need to alpha strike. We can't take damage, so if we're taking damage, we're probably losing anyways. Spoiler alert, we will take damage.
Spoiler alert, we can't dodge for beans.
So yeah, that is the Mage's perks, the full winning run. As you can see, I farmed for Boots of Swiftness. I would have taken Lapis Necklace or anything that gave me at least +2 speed is what I landed on. Without the +2 speed, you're simply too slow for most enemies. You will oftentimes be slowed, and you will basically get down to half health before the fight even starts, and if you do that 2 fights in a row, you lose. So,
Bada
yeah.
bing, bada boom.
Here we go. I'll start playing the video now. Go into the deck sections, and then we can get into the conversation of, I guess, like what the planned path is. So yeah, you can see me looking at stuff. Want to get as much damage as I can early on, so Stormy's pretty good. I don't have a lot of money because I wanted some perks and tankiness, so getting Daily and Stormy is pretty good. Ups Evelyn's damage, ups Wilbur's damage. As you can see, I already have the decks completely made for everybody. I had to do this run a lot, so I kind of landed on something that I felt was good. Oh, I didn't spend all my things just yet. Oh, I'm waiting for Wilbur. Yeah, I still wasn't sure of these decks even by the end or by this run. I thought I was going to have to do a lot more runs than this. So yeah, this is why I'm looking at my deck super hard and trying to figure it out. One thing I will say, I have Rain on all the characters. Rain applies 4 if you have the wet charges application increase to all enemies when you upgrade it to blue. So in an ideal turn, I'll pause it right here, you get Rain off on Cornelius, Zek, and Evelyn, and that stacks, I can do quick math, 24 Rain charges on the enemy, which means every one of Wilbur's lightning cards, and cold cards for that matter, will deal 24 extra damage, not counting their lowered resistance that Rain might get them to in the negatives. So, yeah, Rain is the best card. It's also one of the reasons why I feel like this is the most viable path for the mages. I tried Frostfire. We tried Frostfire for a little bit. It was tough. This ended up feeling a lot better for the beginning, and I think it's also just better for the end game as well. So yeah. Very important thing here too. I have shifting scrolls on these characters because, yeah, Zek can be fast, right? 18 speed, but what does that matter if everybody else is slow. So you do have to do some speed manipulation. The only card mages have access to is Scroll of Speed. You can see it in Cornelius's deck right now, next to the Scroll of Intellect and Shifting Scroll. Scroll of Speed gives, you can have it start innate in your hand, which is fantastic, and it gives, I believe, what was it, it gives 2 fast to a hero when it's yellow, and if you have fast charge increase, it gives 3, which can get your slow mages who are all at 14 speed up to 20 speed, which is faster than most enemies, but not all. So slowing them down ends up becoming important too, which is why I also keep the curses of exhaustion in Zek's deck, and I end up upgrading them to slow by 3 because that becomes relevant. Ideally, Zek becomes faster than all enemies. It can slow whoever he needs to and speeds up the entire team. You can only buy 2 of the Scroll of Speed, so Cornelius has to have 1 too. And yeah, here I'm just I have excess perk points on these decks. This could be done on something else. I want to take out more of Cornelius's cards, but honestly, Cornelius is just such a non-factor in the early game. It's okay. He's there for Rain and Scrolls of Intellect, and that's about it. All right, and then we are ready. You'll quickly see me. So the path we're going to go is that very low path, maybe through the Isolated Chapel or whatever. We want to get to the Dryad fight. The Dryad has a guaranteed drop of Forest Crown. One of the items that we talked about to get a winning mages run was Forest Crown.
Forest Crown.
It's a guaranteed drop. You can see purple versions, very good. You can get up to all heroes, get 2 fast. Of course, if you have speed or fast charges increased on your hero, this will be 3 fast. So Zek, if you get a +2 speed item, not a ring by the way, because this takes up the ring slot. So ideally you get the Boots of Swiftness. That's honestly the best pull that you can get in the early game. He gets up to 18 speed, and then Forest Crown gives him +6 more, so he'll be up to 24, which, fun fact, is the fastest that enemies will go outside of the Hydra boss or the endgame boss and their clones. At least to start out the fight with. So you can guarantee be faster than anything, which you need in Alpha Strike. Especially good if you get the purple one. That's not guaranteed, though it is more likely because you can find Forest Crown at the end of the first act boss fight as well, letting you double up on it. But again, not a necessity, just very good. Alright, so what you can see me doing here is checking each path. One of the really nice things about the Mage's Run is that you can go up, middle, or down, and those all give you an eventual path that can get to the Dryad. You really want to take advantage of looking at your enemies. Also, you really want to memorize the speeds of all enemies because knowing that will help you pick a fight. I opt for this fight in particular because of all the fights, I can actually go first. Zek's 18 speed I knew was faster than the Pigmen. So, yeah, that hopefully should let me kill at least most of the enemies, if not all of them, in the first fight. Here we can kind of see the deck play out a little bit. You're not always going to draw all your reins. Usually you get to, 12. Shifting Scroll is here in Cornelius's deck to help him get more reins. I believe I have it in Zek's deck as well, because that's all Cornelius wants to do in the early game. Evelyn, you have Powerful. I kept her transmissions because we can power up Wilbur quite a bit. Unstable Power is a really good powerful card in the early game. That's plus 40% damage, which is really huge. And then, I have Shock Nova in both Zek's and Wilbur's deck because it is a mass AoE slow, and it's quite a good slow as well. It often ends up making the difference for you to be able to go first on the second turn as well. Although later in the run, Evelyn will apply so much chill it doesn't matter. Shatter is also one of the best cards that you can get. You can see it applies double hits, so both hits are affected by the wet that is on enemies, letting it do that massive amount of damage you can see. And there,
Yeah,
didn't
so for
quite get the kill.
yeah, so for anyone, the double hits is really, really powerful, even though it doesn't look like it's a double hit because it's something plus something. So you think, oh, it's just going to be, a total. For some reason in this game, they count it as two different hits at the same time, which means things that are additive is incredibly important. Well, not only important, it just makes it way more effective. So mark, wet, and other stuff like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, as you can see, I realized that I had to do a little quick restart here. Because that corn was going to survive and deal more damage. One of the things that I should know about this run, one, it was my fastest run ever. Two,
Zooming.
you really, really want to mitigate all damage. It's critical. Like, you want to make sure you have as much HP as possible for any of the boss fights and any of the fights coming up in the future. So if you can save yourself on damage, like if you think there's a chance, you should do that. It'll pay dividends in the future. Sorry for having to rewatch a fight, but you can see I'll do slightly different things now, I think. And I'll probably make it so that Evelyn and Wilbur don't get shackles, so they'll be able to go first on the next turn. I might leave something else alive. As for what that is, it might be the pigs, it might be something else, but yeah. Wilbur's starting card is actually really, really good. It doubles a spell and puts it on top of your deck, as well as gives you some powerful. Well, you can do this for any hero, actually, which is really fun. But there you go. All enemies died this time. First turn, which is what you want. So, card picks here. I want Prismatic Field, but I want it on Zek or Cornelius. I also want Reigns on anybody else's deck except for Wilbur. Wilbur needs to deal the damage. I don't want him to waste all his cards applying wet and then deal no damage at the end. So I have 2 Reigns in his deck to start out with, but I will be filtering those out as soon as possible, as soon as I feel comfortable with the amount of rain we have. So doing the fishing here is actually interesting, because if you succeed, you get a fight. If you fail, you get nothing, unless you critically fail, and then all your heroes get a shameful card, which is just a negative. But yeah, this fight is honestly, it's totally fine to succeed, because even though you won't go first, they don't really do anything for the first turn, so you get 2 turns to kill them, which is usually more than enough for any enemies. And most importantly, this gives you 1 more fight before you get to the Dryad, which actually can make the difference between you leveling up before fighting the Dryad or after.
Which is huge.
Yeah, because you want to be level 2, have all your better cards available. Not Cornelius. You actually don't want to level up Cornelius at all. You put a curse in his deck, essentially. But yeah, you can see this fight is not going to be too hard. I'm not worried about like doing this all super efficiently, because I know that I have another turn after this, thanks to Shock Nova and Frost as well. Yeah. So Wilbur,
what do you think?
If you haven't tried it, is really good. Sorry, yeah, go on.
For Act 1, what do you think is the greatest challenge?
The Dryad. Well, the Dryad and getting to the Dryad. Because before you get to the Dryad, you are too slow. There's a lot of enemies that outspeed you. I specifically avoided them on this path, but the imps, the boss fight imps, they are 19 speed, so if Zek is 18, you go slower, and then they slow the entire team down. So you just take damage from everything. They also do a ton of fire damage. You get down to half health if you fight imp, even with the speed item, which you can see right here. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Now I can go up, even though I want to go down to get that other book event. And actually, specifically, I want to go to the pig's house, Otis, that's his name. I want to go to Otis's house because he drops items. Now, the enemies here also are going to outspeed me, and the wolf has the potential to slow down your entire team too. However, I think I take less damage this way. Plus, I get more events and potentially fights the other way. So it's more likely that I level up without having to take an extra fight.
Got it.
I also got really lucky on this run. I found both Steadfast Boots, and there's the purple event after the Dryad, which is just a give your team a boon that gives health and regen. You'll see it later, but
Which is huge for a team that
can't heal. Yeah, that extra sustain lets you take a little bit of chip damage and not feel too bad. I forgot to mention, also has the squirrel. So yeah, you can see this. I guess I did take the imp fight, man.
Damn.
Yeah,
But
I'm still not sure that was the right decision, but it was a decision.
it was something I decided to do.
Yeah, you know, that's 100% right. Yeah, actually, I should have gone up there. That would have been the better play. Although the boars do a bit more damage. I think that would have been better overall, especially because going to that event where you can buy the rings are actually really good. They give +1 speed and a good amount of HP and resistances compared to all other rings you'll find Act 1. Plus, Wilbur can buy them for cheaper. He can get them for 300 rather than 600 for the entire team. And there's a chance you get a purple one too, which gives +2 speed. You don't want it for Zek so much as you want it for the other party members, because again, Zek can only get the team to 20 speed without any extra speed items on them. So that's sometimes too slow, as we'll see later. Is this fight good? God, I took a lot of damage this fight.
Yeah.
Again, this is part of why I don't expect to be able to consistently do this run. There's a lot that I would like to be able to do.
There's a lot of RNG.
Yeah, a lot of RNG. You see, if Zek was a 19 speed here, we would have killed that entire team before they went. So this is the difference one speed can make. Again, I do want Curse of Fragilities because those apply Mark. It's a good way to do stuff. I don't really want Rains on Wilbur, but I will take it because it's the upgraded Rain, and I do feel the need to get more wet. And we have the potential to kill turn 2 on bosses, especially if we're going to heal. So it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm agonizing over that agony.
Ah.
Do I want to take
Past
it?
Dragon, what the hell are you doing?
Yep, so this is another fight, even though it's an event. Sometimes this is usually a diviner when it's the common event. That's also very good because it becomes a spot where you can heal. But this fight isn't too bad because it's all pigmen, and pigmen are slower than 18. Or, sorry, they are 18, which means you win the speed tie. Nice thing about the game.
Good enough.
Yeah. So... Oh, I picked up another Scroll of Speed because I want Zek to be fast on the second turn too. The problem with Zek right now is that he is slower on turn 2 than the rest of the heroes, so we don't get as many chances to apply Rain on turn 2, which I feel I'm going to need for the Dryad fight. Anyways, I've been talking a lot and very fast. Any other questions?
I was about to say, you got me.
Man, there's a lot to explain behind my thoughts and feelings about the very first part and what to do, what not to do. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
No, of course. I mean, that's part of it. But I guess my curiosity is the idea I had. So when it came to creating this team, Dragon and I actually went separate routes, or at least in the thought process of, for me, he even tested out Frostfire, but I wanted to see if I can make more use out of Cornelius, at least in flat fire damage. And for any veterans to know, fire damage is pretty darn effective in the first area, especially against the tree enemies who are a big pain in the butt. So I thought he was underutilizing Cornelius, and I thought maybe Frostfire or same build.
Cut you off
but
really quick. Look at those dirty purple bandages.
Oh yeah, hell yes.
Honestly, one of the best items you can find because, again, this helps mitigate chip damage. Recovering 5 HP. I will keep that for a long time.
Is that maybe even go still lightning damage, but instead of having Cornelius go like very supportive and energy and kind of have some dead cards and it be a little bit awkward, is try and use those like the raw fire damage. Speaking of raw fire damage,
oh yeah, I take this extra fight here because I want to make sure I level up before the Dryad, and I look at my experience and I know 2 fights will guarantee it, 1 fight might not.
That's a good point. So we did a lot of like back and forth, like it was another like long talk we had about which one was better, and we kind of like did our own research. And what's funny is this one happened very recently, but it was just funny is that he texted me like late at night at some point of just being, by the way, so it was kind of like unlike the scout run that we did, which you guys should totally check out, by the way. This one felt like it took a lot of brain power research, at least between me and Dragon, and then the actual execution was surprisingly quicker. And that might also be because with scouts, because I feel like those 2 are definitely some of the harder ones. With scouts, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, 100%. With scouts, the reason that it's easier is very simple. You just get farther, faster. With mages, you die really early. Like, that's the crux of it. Now, I do realize that this enemy is really rough. Not ideal to fight. I see the damage numbers here. I don't leave them alive quite right. So I don't really want to take this extra damage. I could probably kill all 3. This guy's going to kill Cornelius no matter what, because that's 9 stealth he had on him. And then killing Zek too, I don't want to happen, so I'm going to be resetting this fight. But yeah, scouts go a lot further, so it took a lot more attempts. Mages, once you get Forest Crown, the second act ends up being the next hurdle. Both in getting to the Charged Trident and then fighting the Hydra. The Hydra was a huge hurdle for this run in general. Wow, yeah, I was able to kill him without losing Zek, so here we go. 1 Wilbur Death's Door in your deck. Not what you want. Definitely doesn't have to be that way, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is.
Zek also being really low on health here, I want him to die actively in this fight.
Because you want to reset his health.
Yeah, and also I'm really annoyed that it's the same enemy in back, because I'm like, cool, it was just going to kill Wilbur again, I guess.
Yay.
Yeah, but I want to reset his health to be up to 70s, because I don't want him dying immediately in the Dryad fight. That would be the worst possible outcome.
Yeah, you might just lose the run.
Yeah. Speaking of the Dryad fight, guess who's the fastest boss outside of the Hydra?
Is it the Dryad?
It's the Dryad, because they start with fast at the start of combat.
Oh my goodness. I can't. How have I never noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We fought them. We saw it. It was just, it's a pain.
I mean, I guess, yeah, we did see it, but I guess maybe just for a while, we always were just kind of slower. So it never dawned on me that the Dryad, actually, like, I was just like, oh yeah, the Dryad goes first, or whatever it is. Like, yeah, okay. Just didn't really think about it of like when actually trying to beat the Dryad in speed. That's funny.
Yeah. So the Dryad is a huge pain. My main goal here is I want to eliminate 2 enemies before they go. I'm still in the mindset here of like, this isn't the run that's gonna win. I'm just kind of spinning my wheels. Like, there's no chance, right? So Zek dies as planned. Problem is now Cornelius is going to die, though honestly I want him at higher health too, so that's probably fine. At this point I'm like, man, I kind of want Evelyn to die, because Evelyn's too weak as well.
Just everyone die.
But Evelyn's in a safer position, so I think it's okay if she's really low health at the start of the fight, because the goal is going to be to kill the Dryad before they kill Evelyn, or have the chance to. And Wilbur is the more important person to leave alive, even though you can see here Evelyn's damage is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Also, man, I'm really confident in that AoE kill.
Yeah, you are.
There's unstable powers. I have twin scrolls, so I can play double shatter here, which guarantees it because I have 10 powerful. Yeah, easy.
I'm surprised you let Evelyn live.
Again, like I was saying, she being low enough health made sense to me, because she won't die to the Dryad immediately.
Oh, I guess it's true.
They won't attack her, so it's all that knowledge. And I leveled up. So Soul Harvest, actually a really cool card from Zek. Draws a card every time you play a spell. Really powerful in and of itself, so it means he's going to get more or more stuff. What's it called? He's going to get more cards and be able to play Reigns more often, which is what you want. And potentially some more slow cards. Cornelius, I opted not to level up because I want his deck to draw Reigns as often as possible.
Does level up give you more health and stuff and stats?
It does. It does.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, it gives you more. It gives you 5 health if you're a mage. Which is something.
That is something.
Maybe it's different for the other heroes. I didn't memorize it, but I think it was just 5 health. Maybe it's more. Then it gives you. I don't know if it gives you resistances. It might. But yeah, it gives you that on top of the cards. So this fight's going to be difficult. Now Zek did get Shock Nova, which is great because he can slow down the Dryad and ensure that she will be slower than the rest of our team. I don't know if I have to reset this fight at all. If I do, that makes sense. If I do,
understandable.
Yeah, honestly, these fights are really hard. Evelyn doing automatic damage to a thorny enemy is not great. So I'm going to have her focus on not the Trunkies as much as possible, though I do want to play Frost Nova, because that lets Wilbur's AoE do more. So yeah, 6 health, that's all you need. I mean, as long as you're playing cards and you're not dead, health is a resource, right?
Health is a resource. I'm still alive.
And I chew my Death's Door there. Not ideal, but it does mean for turn 2 I won't have Death's Door, meaning I can do all my damage. And unfortunately I know Evelyn is likely to draw Death's Door next turn, so yeah.
Bummer.
It's totally worth it, by the way, to play those Dark Sacrifices sometimes and give 2 energy, specifically to Wilbur, because his deck's really expensive. You just have to figure out when that is. Evelyn doesn't draw Death's Door. Fantastic. Really lucky on my part. You can see 37 stacks of wet, too. So, damage is really ramping up. At this point, with the transformation of damage, I got it.
Beautiful.
So, and only 4 mages had to die to get us to this point. Prismatic Field is 100% something I want. I don't need a second Shock Nova, though it might be prudent to take it, but I don't always want to slow the entire enemy team. Sometimes I just need to slow one, so. And spending the energy on it is quite intensive. I guess Evelyn hasn't died yet. So never mind, it was only 3 deaths. I laugh here because I got Slippers, which
Slippers and Forest Crown.
Yeah, Slippers is 100% what I want to see more than my boots currently in the start of the game, but that's fine. Boots of Swiftness is definitely better now that I have Forest Crown. Yeah, I could have taken a ring there, but I do want the money. Same thing here. What I really should have done, though, and I made the mistake twice here, is I didn't take weapons for Cornelius, and I should have just replaced those as fast as possible.
Got it.
There's that banquet card. Now this would be great. I would take this on either Cornelius or Zek. However, it's going to Wilbur, and Wilbur doesn't want to do it, or doesn't want to play a non-damage card. Despite how great
The man,
purple Tome of
Intellect
Intellect
is...
Purple in particular.
Purple in particular is one of the best purple upgrades you could almost ever ask for.
Yeah, because it turns your Tome of Intellect into a card that you give any hero 1 energy and 1 inspire. And it makes it into 2 energize, 1 inspire, as well as you draw a card when you play it.
Oh my goodness.
So...
Say less.
Yeah, if you do get the opportunity to take it on either Cornelius or Zek, 100% do that.
Or just ever. If you ever have the opportunity to take a purple scroll of intellect.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Have at it.
Yeah, although, that said, I did just pass up on it.
Have at it.
But yeah, you can see the shifting scrolls here helping up Cornelius's utility quite a bit. I do think it's worth it in the deck. Also, fun fact, I used to feel like that card was pretty pointless. But then I played mages more, and I realized the potential combos with it, and I realized it's not that bad. In fact, sometimes it's good. Like, you know, when you have a lot of useless cards in your deck, like Cornelius does. Or, sorry, I should say useless spells in your deck, because you have to discard a spell. There's also a certain cold combo you can do with it. But yeah, this fight's looking pretty rough so far. This is a good turn from Wilbur, but my rest of my turns weren't that crazy. So yeah, and the Harpy is probably the most annoying enemy to fight. That's just a regular enemy, because they speed themselves up quite a lot. They dispel their, I don't know if they dispel their fast or if they just get rid of it. So they go faster, and then they stealth. And they will do that 2 turns in a row.
Because they suck.
Because they suck. Now, fortunately, I have some AoE. Yeah, the fact that they, like, don't have any fire or wet on them anymore because of the fire mage is also really annoying. Yeah, everything about them sucks. I hate them. But getting past that...
I hate them, and they should feel bad.
I should be able to manage before taking damage from them again in this fight because I have enough AoE cards in both Evelyn's and Wilbur's deck, but it's not a guarantee. And then here, I am taking my time. Yeah, again, this being a run, like I really wasn't sure was gonna make it. I feel like I took some breaks in between, so sorry if some of the plays are especially slow. Oh, also they put evasion on themselves. 2 stacks of it for fun. But here
just,
I'm able,
for the shiggles of it.
Here I'm able to give Frost over to Evelyn, so she guaranteed has a AoE card next turn. But yeah, most of my cards I just can't play at this point because it's fun to fight stealth. Yay!
Yay!
Having stealth counters is nice sometimes, but mages don't really get a ton of that, so yeah. Anyways, not the end of the world. I did enough damage early on. There's another rain, but on the wrong person, so I don't want a 4th rain for sure. Electricity Manual actually is pretty good. It is just essentially another lightning card in your hand if you have the 0-cost version, but it's not like amazing. It doesn't reduce the cost unless you have the version that puts it on top of your deck, which I can't guarantee draw that often, so I'm not going to be doing. I look at that prismatic field on Zek, but I would rather have an upgraded one, and I already have one on Cornelius. The reason I want prismatic field is for the second act, where enemies start doing a good amount of elemental damage, specifically the Hydra.
The Hydra.
Yeah.
Hydra.
Hydra is a huge pain, and like I said, outside of just getting to the Dryad and getting Forest Crown, which was incredibly hard and took, like, I don't even think the way I have this run set up is guaranteed. Like, I fail, I want to say 3 out of 4 tries to even defeat the Dryad. Fortunately, you fail fast, so you can do a lot of attempts.
Fail fast, die hard.
In a short, yeah, you can do a lot of attempts in a short time. Like I made it to this boss fight within 30 minutes, and I'm not even like trying to play with speed. So yeah, I think the Hydra is the next really tough fight, though some of the boss fights that you can encounter in Act 2, like the Super Seahorse, can make your life difficult. Also, look at this electrified shatter. So good.
Enchant weapon is such a beauty.
Yeah.
That is easily one of my favorite.
Enchantments.
We want to call them talent cards.
Yeah, I mean enchantments.
Yeah, I think they're called talent cards.
Well, they're all those cards in particular are called enchantments.
Oh yeah, also enchantments. But yeah, in general, I think enchant weapon is one of my favorite like level 2 cards in the entire game. I really like it.
Yeah. I don't know if there is a non-enchantment level 2 and 4 card. Like, I'm pretty sure they're all just called enchantments, which sucks because they don't combo with anything else in the game. Like, there's nothing that affects enchantments or makes you draw off of enchantments.
Is that true?
You feel free to look at it. But yeah, I was looking at it a lot. So, yeah, you can usually just kill the tree through his thorns right here. But I died to him.
But I died.
So that was not ideal. Yeah, honestly, there's a lot about this run that wasn't going too well. I died a lot. I've had runs where I didn't die at all in Act 1. This one, I was just like, man, there's so much wrong, but at least I have the said boots combo, and I got the well-fed card, so that's something. Now with Evelyn dead here, unfortunately, Cornelius and Zek are also dead. Like, there's no chance of survival. I will have to retry this fight.
Darn shame.
Especially because it was... Alright, so this is the 5th time that I had to do this fight. It was a huge pain. Evelyn and Wilbur basically need to not play cards so that I don't give him too many thorns in the next attack, or in his second turn attack, so that they can survive to round 3 and hopefully kill him round 3 with max energy and or as many cards as they can draw. It kind of sucks. It never feels good to not play cards during your turn, but sometimes that's the path to victory, which, you know, it's a cool part about this game. Like, there's things that you can try and little tactics to do to work around bosses. I wouldn't say it's like the most engaging, but I don't think they overuse that mechanic. Like, it's mainly just the tree and the sentries, or the twins, that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't mind. Now, that said, the tree and the twins are 2 boss fights that you will fight every run. So, it can be
fun.
It can be kind of annoying. But, yeah. Double Shatter should clean up Trunky and do good damage to the tree. Oh, but I don't want it to kill him that way, because I want to apply as much wet as possible. Silly me, applying wet right now doesn't matter, because he's going to dispel the wet. Not this turn, but the next turn.
Oh, you baited us there.
Yeah, so I actually what I need to do is not play my rain cards this turn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is what I recognize. It also makes it less likely that Wilbur will draw the Death Store on the wrong turn. Because playing rain does nothing except for give him spikes, because he's going to dispel all wet charges anyway.
That makes sense.
So yeah. This is something that you could know going into this fight. So, you know, I will state again, I stated in the Scouts video, I'll state in this one, I play this game to see if this challenge is possible, or I'm doing this to see if the challenge is possible, not to test myself. I know I make mistakes, I know I can mess up. I don't really care about that too much. I like that there's a retry button in the game, and that you can kind of treat fights like a puzzle. to see what you need to do when. Yeah. Get that little bit of extra energy. Might as well use any self-damage cards in this fight because you're going to die anyways. And also, might as well give as much draw as possible to both our damage dealers. Debating playing Searing Touch to get rid of the thorns, but I do want more wet charges. So here I end up drawing another rain, that's great. And yeah, everyone gets to play her entire hand. It's not all damage, so Wilbur's really gonna have to carry here, because you can't let him go on round 3. But this time he does not draw Death's Door, very importantly. I'm really worried about playing Unstable Power, because if it's Death's Door, then it's bad, but I take the gamble, because I think I need the powerful to kill. But here it looks like I have just enough damage. And bam.
Beautiful.
That is the fight done.
Claps in the chat.
So here's hoping that I can get a 1 purple mana surge. Awesome. Really love that card. That is spend 2 energy to grant 5 energy. You don't get to choose where except for the first hero, but it's pretty good. Taking Superconductor on Evelyn, because that'll be a lot of damage for her. I would take an upgraded Tome of Intellect, but I'm not going to be able to spend the orbs or the shards to upgrade it. So I opt not to. Then Flash Freeze, really good card. I wish it was on anyone else, like literally anyone else I would take it. Because it helps on so many of the basic fights. To just be able to take one guy out of the equation, because mages, at least on this run, I can usually kill like 3 enemies, guaranteed. But that 4th one tends to survive at a lot of health. That'll all change as soon as I get combos going, but for now, Flash Freeze would be amazing. I'm debating taking Winter Orb here, because Winter Orb is a really good card. And alright. Yeah, so I want to take Winter Orb because Winter Orb is a really good card. It's, again, like what you have to think about with Cornelius' deck is that he has a bunch of bad cards in it right now anyways, so you should just take the Winter Orb because you want to be getting rid of his flame cards. I really want that
Someone's
upgraded.
really thinking about Televigilant.
Yeah, I was thinking about it way too much. I didn't take Winter Orb. I should have. That was 100% a mistake.
Ooh, look at these purples. Oh man, I haven't seen Purple Yelmer's branch in a million years.
Yeah, I mean, Purple Elmer's Branch isn't that good, actually, so...
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just, God, it's just a card we just never see.
Yeah. Got some 50 gold. Sadly did not get a second Forest Crown here, so no purple. Meaning I will have to keep those scrolls of speed in my deck for the entirety of the run.
That's rough.
Yeah, and you know, that's just how it goes. It's not the end of the world. Purple Gloves is great though.
Purple Gloves is great.
40% more damage at the start. Wilbur already has armor that gives him powerful at the start of combat, so he really doesn't need that. And yeah, off to the green portal. Take a little check. I'm really happy because I see that the common event is available, so the Charged Trident can be got to.